Namaste, everyone. Good evening to all of you, and welcome to session number 7 of this 10-day IKS certificate course, Indian Knowledge Systems, Pathways and Trajectories. Thank you for being there with us for the past 6 days. We are in the second week, and like the previous week, we have an interesting lineup of expert speakers who will be throwing light on different aspects of IKS. So I sincerely hope that all of you will stay connected till the last day, that is July 4th, Friday. I also want to take this opportunity to welcome and convey gratitude to the organizing committee team members from Shahid Mangal Pandey Government PG Girls College, Meerut, Uttar Pradesh. The patron of this course, Professor Anju Singh Madam, the principal of the college, Professor Anju Singh Madam. Professor Captain Lata Kumar Madam, in charge Department of Sociology and Coordinator IQAC, Shahid Mangal Pandey College. The organizing committee members, Professor Anju Rani Garg Madam, Professor Bharti Dikshit Madam, Dr. Poonam Bhandari Madam, Professor Geeta Chaudhary Madam, and Srimati Manisha Bhushan Madam. And all the faculty members from Shahid Mangal Pandey College who have joined us, who have joined hands with NLD for this certificate course. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि आप लोगों ने बहुत ही हमारे साथ कोऑपरेट किया है, हमें हैंड होल्ड किया है इस सर्टिफिकेट कोर्स में, और आपकी जो ऑर्गेनाइजिंग कमिटी है उसके साथ काम करके कोऑर्डिनेट करके हमें बहुत ही अच्छा लगा है. So thank you Lata ma'am for steering this effort. And of course, I do not forget to mention my colleagues, Dr. Vikas Rajpopat, Dr. Pratibha Maitra, and Dr. Pradyuman Raj sir, who have been instrumental in all that NLD does. And also great thanks to all our wonderful participants. I am pleased to welcome our expert resource person for today, Dr. Bhakti Gala. Dr. Bhakti, welcome to this platform on behalf of NLD and Shahid Mangal Pandey Government PG Girls College. I welcome you to this IKS certificate course, and we are all excitedly looking forward to your session. Dr. Bhakti Gala is an assistant professor at the School of Library and Information Science, Central University of Gujarat, located in Vadodara. Dr. Gala has received her Master of Library and Information Science and her PhD degree in the same discipline, that is Library and Information Science, from the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, which is where we are located. Dr. Bhakti has been actively working at the intersection of discovery and access to cultural heritage materials housed in memory institutions such as libraries, archives, museums, and galleries. She also works with open access resources and public libraries. She has worked on national and international research projects. She was selected as one of the 5 Women Researchers Award from Central University of Gujarat for the 2024 ICSSR initiative in collaboration with Springer Nature during the India Research Tour. She is also the recipient of the 2022 CredSource Leadership Award from Assist USA and the 2014 Best Research Paper Award from a developing country by Taylor and Francis. And her research is shared through national and international journals as well as national and international conferences. Of course, this is Dr. Bhakti's formal introduction, but I know her beyond the formal professional realm because we almost did our PhD together in different disciplines, in different departments, but at the same time. So we were together in the PhD coursework back in 2011, 2012. I can't believe that it's already more than a decade to that. And Dr. Bhakti is a very dedicated scholar, researcher, teacher in the field of library and information sciences. And she has done several sessions in our universities, also in my faculty, on open access resources with UG and PG students, with PhD scholars. She's also extremely well traveled. She keeps traveling to different parts of the world to present her papers. And what we need to learn from her is how to undertake collaborative research. Because as far as I know Dr. Bhakti's work, at any given point in time, she's always collaborating with a researcher in library and information sciences to undertake projects, to do scholarly work, and bring out quality research material. I've also had the privilege and the fortune of meeting her students, and it was very evident that she is an adored teacher as well, and she remains quite dedicated to the information movement, which is so crucial to our globalized, mediatized context today. Uh, so, of course, you will have many takeaways from this session from the IKS perspective. But if there is one takeaway that I have learned from Dr. Bhakti is how to do good research, sitting in one quiet corner, make an impact by doing good research, but by bringing everybody on board. That's my takeaway from witnessing her journey as a scholar for over a decade. And the session that she's going to steer today is very important, very interesting, very timely and relevant, because she's going to talk about discovery and access to IKS information resources. उनका जो background है library science में, उसकी एक्सपर्टीज से वो हमें बताने वाली है कि जब हमें IKS में रिसर्च करना है, स्कॉलरशिप जनरेट करना है, तो हमें जो रिसोर्सेज चाहिए, हमें मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स चाहिए, हमें प्राइमरी रिसोर्सेज चाहिए, हमें सेकेंडरी रिसोर्सेज चाहिए, वो हमें कहाँ मिलेंगे? हाउ डू वी एक्सेस इट? हाउ डू वी डिस्कवर इट? हाउ डू वी मेक यूज ऑफ इट? आई एम वेरी श्योर कि आपको सेशन के अंत में इतनी सारी नई जानकारी मिलेगी, आपको इतने सारे नए रिसोर्सेस के बारे में पता चलेगा, जिसको आगे लेकर आप अपना IKS का काम आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं. So with this, I think that this is not going to just be a very theoretical or conceptual session, but Dr. Bhakti will also be demonstrating a lot of resources. And I think at this point in time in IKS, some of us probably are struggling with where do we find the resources. So here is Dr. Bhakti with the answer to this crucial question. I once again welcome her very warmly on this platform. I'm very delighted to see her on this platform, not just because she's a dear friend, but she's a fellow scholar. And I believe that getting the right people on the platform is what we aim to do at NLD. So welcome, Dr. Bhakti, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Nidhi, for this extensive introduction and for your kind words. I would like to thank the team members, especially from Shahid Mangal Pandey Government College also, and the NLD team for inviting me to be on board for such a fascinating session. I really wish I could have attended more of these sessions or each and every one of these sessions. And you have said so many things, so I'm really hoping that I can stay I can meet your expectations to that level, as Nidhi has just mentioned that, yeah, my area is working in the information world. And yes, we are living in times, we are essentially living in the information age, is what we call. We have the Stone Age, the Bronze Age. Currently, we are in the information age. But why this is so important is because with the help of information age, we are trying to trace back history. We want to basically go back to our manuscripts. We want to use that information which is buried in those treasures to that, so that scholars are able to then make sense of what we are talking about, the broader spectrum of IKS. My talk will, of course, be looking at various aspects, as Nidhi has mentioned. I will start sharing my screen. Do let me know if the screen is visible at your end.
Yeah, we confirm once we see it. Participants, if there are any questions, comments, the chat box is open. I request everyone to kindly be on mute for the smooth conduct of the session. Yeah, your screen is perfectly visible to us, Dr. Bhakti.
Okay, thank you so much. So I'll just begin with the introduction and the flow. I'm planning to basically take you on this journey through three segments of this presentation. The flow will begin with what are these information resources that my whole talk is going to be about, and the what will also cover, give you an overview of the different forms of sources which have evolved over the years, over the different decades and decades of information that has been documented. Then we will basically go into where are these resources. Like, I will take you to the places, the geographical locations of these resources. And finally, the most critical of them all is basically how would you go about discovering them or finding them and accessing these resources, because we are talking about resources which are not as easy as anything that you would find in a library and a book. These are resources which are by their very nature very elusive, very difficult to trace them, to verify them, to be able to access them because of their very fragile nature also. So we will be looking at, how these can be looked at. What you see on the screen is just a small image I took
Dr.
from.
Bhakti, just to interrupt you, your screen has disappeared. Is it the same for everyone? I can't see Dr. Bhakti's screen. Is that a problem at my
Yes,
end?
yes, we can't see it. We can't see it.
Okay, thank you, Sharda ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, so I will again start.
I think, Bhakti, you need to share the entire screen.
Yeah, I did the entire screen.
Yeah. Sometimes when we share the tab, it becomes, yeah. Now we can see it.
You can see it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's great. Thank you so much for bringing this to my notice. Feel free to just let me know if there is any such, hitch in between.
Yeah.
So
I
the flow,
think,
as I mentioned.
probably when you moved on to when you were trying to move on to the next slide, there was some glitch. Let's.
So we'll come to know. We'll come to know. So I was just mentioning about the flow. I'm going to be covering my talk in these three segments. That is, what are these resources, where are they, and how do you go about accessing them? Of course, as you can see on the screen, I have kind of sprinkled a lot of these images all over the talk, just to give you an idea that information is there everywhere, all over the country in different forms as they have been, as we will go through them. Of course, when we talk about a small issue with my screen, then because my focus is going to be more on information resources, you have had experts talk about IKS. So I'm not going to talk about IKS. That's not my area of expertise. My area of expertise is finding these information resources. And when we look at the word, or look at the word information, we say it's Sushna, which can give rise to Jnanam, or Ved, that is knowledge to know. Information in its very, in its very dictionary sense, we also say that it is anything that is basically helps you in the formation of mind. So anything and everything that can help you to basically go from a state of unknowing to knowing, we call that as information. And there are many definitions. I'm not going into it, but yes, my talk will focus on the documented in Indian knowledge. Okay, as the civilization, we moved from the oral culture to the documented culture, and we were predominantly an oral culture, as we all know. But then there came a point when we started documenting things, and as you could see in the previous screen, the inscription on the rock was basically a form of documentation, but it was on a stone. So anything that changes your state of knowing by getting informed, we call that as information. And there are so many resources, and this can happen. The resources can be different forms, the different mediums which are there, and the medium has evolved based on what was available to the early man. And as we said that in the oral culture that we essentially had in this Indus in the our earlier Indus Valley civilization and the period before that, we always say that the oral culture ensured that whatever you gained, the knowledge you gained remained in your mind. The library was in your mind. And through the oral tradition, we were always basically transmitting or disseminating that knowledge to the wider audience. So the transitions that happened from the oral to the different cultures were basically because of different needs. When I say needs, I'm actually talking about the information needs. People's needs changed. Their needs corresponded because the early man was somebody who was a nomadic person moving from one place to the other. They also needed information for trading. They needed information for maybe bookkeeping or preservation or any other such the needs. And to keep in track with those changing needs, essentially we find that the different mediums of information resources kept on changing. And these changes, of course, also resulted that when we talk about written history, as I said, when we went from oral to written, we find that there was a period when this change happened, when people started essentially using tools. Different tools were used to ensure that the tools were mediums as well as to medium on what to write on and what you should write with. So to write on and to write, these were two things. So the medium also played a critical role in these evolution of these information resources, because whatever was available to them, to the early man, they used those resources. So moving on to the next one, there we come to the first section, which is what are these information resources. And when we talk about these information resources, I'm actually talking about the different kinds of resources. And there are enough literary evidences that show that materials which were used to document knowledge, there were different varieties. You will be seeing in my presentation that right from stone to wood to even bones or ivory material, or you had even as far as there are evidences of things being written on tortoise shells. Even we have had, different parts of a tree, the bark, the leaf. We had metal, we had cloth. Over a period of time, we have seen so many different mediums being used for documenting these resources. And these, as I mentioned earlier, were part of what was available to them. So the oral tradition, of course, gave rise to documenting using different resources. And this is something that we are seeing. It lasted till actually paper came about. That is, paper started being used around 12th and 13th century. Paper came much later, and after that also the journey did not end. We saw different formations of how paper was being used. The book as we know it today is not exactly what it was earlier. It has gone through so many different avatars to become a book actually. And these resources which we'll be talking about, they were on different topics, different subjects. They were different forms of literature have been found, many multiple variations we see there. And you also found that these materials or this documentation that was happening, not only was it on stones, as you could see on in that image, or in or different natural materials which are available, but also on buildings. We found them on buildings, we found them on temple walls, we found them in they were all over. It was just basically you had to look through and there was information which was being documented everywhere. So when we look at the earliest form, we find evidences show that the earliest documented knowledge we have are inscriptions and paintings. Inscriptions, as these early inscriptions were essentially, let me just show this is the earliest inscription that has been found. And as you're all very familiar, this is from, basically the images is from Dholavira, which is in Gujarat. The earliest findings of documented script that has been found here, 2650 BCE to 2100 BCE. And what you see are two different types of materials. One on the top is wood and the other two are terracotta stones that has been created. And these kinds of inscription were essentially found in all over this Indus basin, and they have found almost close to 7,000 inscriptions. Now, anybody who wants to study these inscriptions, they are obviously going to be part of museums, part of collections, which are basically stored at archaeological sites. So we find that these from the Harappan, this Indus period, we have almost 7,000 inscriptions. Along with that, the discovery is also showing about 225 seals, that the coins and seals, again, ranging different materials, they also have inscriptions written on them. So there is something that is written. When we say an inscription, essentially it would be something that is a base material and you have a pointed stylus. So the stylus would be used to inscribe or write, as we say, on these different forms of materials. And of these, of course, the ones that you can see, these two, they are actually called as the signboards, which were found in at Dholavira. And the topmost one actually has got 10 symbols, pictographic symbols written over there, which is, they call it as, it's supposed to be one of the earliest signboard ever found. They are guessing that it was somewhere maybe at signifying the entrance to some area. And of course, these were these inscriptions that we see. There's a lot of research and work going on in deciphering this early Indus script. I will not go into the script because that is not my area, but just to show you that the earliest materials which were being used for inscribing were wood and stone. We also find that, as I mentioned, the seals which were there, different seals, different materials seams have also been found, typically, of course, stone and wood, but then metal took over. The earliest one of these, of course, from the inscriptions I've taken an image, is also from the stone pillar of the edicts of King Ashoka. And these again is just an indication that inscription on stone, that would have been more difficult to actually prepare, given that these were pillars which were quite heighted. But these inscriptions, there are many of them. There are many from the edicts which have been found, Ashoka's edicts. All of these edicts have something written in them, and they become sources of information. So even these edicts, which of course, because we know that in these periods, there were kings which were giving out edicts, there were religious people giving out edicts. So these kinds of edicts have not only been found in India, they have been found elsewhere also. But in India, the oldest of these edicts which we find are from these stone inscriptions here these from the Ashoka period. Then we have, I'm just taking a few samplers to give you an idea that information is not always stored in what we imagine as just books or manuscripts. They're all over. And this is another cave painting that from Bhimbetka caves. Many of you might be familiar with them. And these, of course, are again, because these paintings signify a lot of information. So paintings are also considered to be an important form of visual information. Information can be visual, it can be textual, it can be numerical, it can be anything. It can also be very, very qualitative and abstract also. And these, as you can see, are pictographic paintings which were done and found in the caves, in the rock paintings at Bhimbetka. Then, of course, we have very popular, many of us are familiar with the Ajanta-Ellora caves, fresco paintings as well as sculptures. These are from different centuries. Every image I have taken, every form of material I have taken are from different centuries, just to signify and to share with you the evolution of information that was being recorded on different forms in different ways. Here we can also see a bit of color. Okay, we see color in these fresco paintings, and these were, of course, again from 6th to 12th century, as people who are researchers who have researched these caves are familiar with the evolution of how these 30 rock cut caves that have been found here. They have, and most of these are mentioned in documentary travelogues of course, the Chinese scholar Yun Sang. We find mentions about all of these. A lot of these things that I've just spoken about are again secondary documentation. We have found people who have traveled here have talked about it. So these are, of course, from the Buddhist age, when we find a lot of the Sanskrit and Buddhist literature. There's a lot of mention about these paintings. Another that I came across when I was looking for information, I have also come across that temples all over India. a lot of religious places, not just temples, but I'm just showing the screen of the temple. This is the temple that I've taken is the Brihadeshwara temple, and you can see this is in Tanjore, and the rock cut inscriptions which are there on the walls. What you see on the right is an attempt which has been made to use technological tools to basically decipher and capture these inscriptions so that you can interpret them. And many such temple inscriptions are all over the country, all over. There have been temples as part of one of the research which was done by one of my students in Rajasthan, the Bhadaria temple. On the basement of the temple, they found there's so many books they found over there. So temples were also repositories where a lot of this information was being stored. This year, of course, the wall itself has become a source of information. Obviously, you can't take the wall with you to study, but this is how an attempt is being made to capture what is written on these walls and make sense out of it. Uh, there is another one, the final one that I'm taking to just give an idea about the wide range of information resources which are out there. This is from Bihar, a cave, a Barabar cave, and I found it very fascinating. The inscription is, of course, given at the gate here. There are multiple caves here again from the Mauryan Empire, but as I've said, this is I saw. I was reading about it and I saw a video about how they called it the archaeological site of the future. There is so much of mystery behind these caves, the kind of precision which has been used to essentially carve out the caves, the surfaces. They have found scholars and experts from all over the world who have been trying to decipher that how were they able to make these caves with such precision polishing without having access to the high-end tools which are available today. This is just to give a glimpse of what are the hidden treasures which are there all over the country, and they are all parts of information resources which any scholar can take. But of course, these are not portable. You would have to essentially be there and study them. Then coming to this page about what are these resources, we come to the importance of having portable writing. What I say is something that could be carried with you as the early men started moving from one place to the other. They needed resources, they needed materials which they could carry with them, not just leave them behind in caves or in whichever cave dwellings they were staying in. So the nomadic lifestyle essentially that the early man was living made it necessary that they actually come up with material which they could carry with them. And this is when, of course, we see the earliest form of clay tablets which were being used. Just a second. So the clay tablets were the earliest form of portable material. Something very small, they could kind of inscribe on the clay, sun dry it, or they could just dry it any other way, but they could carry it with them. Clay tablets have been found all over the world, but we also have a sizable number of clay tablets which have been found in India, in different parts of the country. And most of the clay tablets were made out of mud. There were, of course, as they advanced, they started adding additives to the mud to make it more stronger, because otherwise it would be very prone to breaking also. So the mud would be essentially first made wet, they would moisten it, then they would start writing with a pointed feature, again called as a stylus. And these kinds of, so when it would be still soft, they would write it on the mud, dry it, or they would even harden it. There would be different ways of hardening it. Earlier they started with sun drying, then they started baking. इनको गर्म भी किया जा रहा था so that they could actually uh, preserve it for a longer period. So this, of course, we find that the clay tablets were the first portable form of writing, but they were fragile in nature. They were, if they would get wet, they would dissolve. They would be easy to break. So that was an issue that, it was not a kind of material that could last or be preserved for a long time. Although we even find in the global history of material portable writing, even at Lothal, we have found a lot of these clay tablets, which actually survived through the time. Even in Mesopotamia, they have found so many clay tablets. So they have survived, but they were essentially heavy and difficult to manage also. So the earliest clay, which I took a few images, were from, they are part of the Indian Museum in Calcutta. This is an image of a clay tablet, which I've taken from the India Culture website. As you can see, it is a seal, type is seal and sealing, and there is some inscription which has been done on it. So you can even see that is an inscription done on it. another image of a clay tablet. This has got some, this is from the Archaeological Survey of India, and this was the discovery date from 1956. This, of course, has even more carving in it, as you can see. So there, this is just a sampler to show you what these clay tablets look like. They were not always very systematic in shape, like everything would not be a square or a circle. They would have different shapes depending on for what purpose these clay tablets were being created. And these, of course, were also very prevalent for a long time. Most of the times, the clay tablets, when they wanted to be ported from one place to the other, they would essentially store them in boxes and take them along with them. And this was just to save them from any kind of damage. As I said, that they were prone to damage these. And it was from the clay tablet that we find that the earliest form of evolution that took place was towards the manuscripts. That is going to be our biggest source that we are looking at. Many of you, of course, might be familiar because you're all in the area of IKS that a manuscript, there are two ways of understanding what a manuscript is. I'm going by the definition that has been given by the major leading organization in India, which has, or initiative in India, which is the Namami, and they've said that it is a handwritten composition. It can be on different types of material. It can be on paper, it can be on the bark of a tree, or any kind of cloth. There are certain cloth materials were found to be very suitable for manuscripts. They have manuscripts have been found on metallic objects. They have been we have found them on palm leaves, and also many other material. They're saying any material which dates back to at least 75 years and that has any significant scientific, historical, or aesthetic value is what they call as a manuscript. This is the definition that has been adopted by the biggest initiative that happened in India, which is the National Mission for Manuscripts. And everything that falls in this category, they consider that to be a manuscript. I also taken up another definition to make you understand that a lot of times because manuscript is a word which is also being used synonymously in the fact that if you have prepared an article to be published, we also say call it as a manuscript. Or if you have a book ready to be published, we say it's your manuscript. So, but then anything that is handwritten, not published, usually plural synonym for manuscript collections. And it can also include, in the modern day, we say they also include a lot of things. It can have a letter, it can be a diary, ledger. These are examples of things which are not published. And they may be part of collections, but not published. But we are going to be focusing on the first explanation of what a manuscript is. There are certain features of a manuscript which I would like you all to get a glimpse of. Manuscripts which have been found in India are like in so many different languages. Sometimes one language also has multiple scripts, as you can see, Sanskrit written in Oriya script, in Grantha script, Devanagari. And there are evidences of manuscripts which have been found one language, multiple scripts. They have documented all of these. Along with these, we also find that the manuscripts are on different subjects, so many different subjects. This is just a glimpse. I have not done a very comprehensive listing of subjects. But yes, there are resources which will give you that if you're looking for astronomy, then which are all the manuscripts which are there. So we have so many different areas in which there are manuscripts all over India. We have in the libraries and these initiatives, they have tried to categorize them into subjects to make it possible for future researchers to essentially identify the manuscripts which they would like to use for their research. Of course, they're found in different materials also. One sec. Yeah, different materials, as I mentioned, the traditional terminologies which we use, this Tadpatra, that is the palm leaf manuscripts, many of them found in India. We also have handmade paper. We have Burjpatra, that is the bark. We have Vastrapat, that is the cloth. We have Tamra. We have many manuscripts in Tamra, that's copper. Tashta, again, wood, timber wood, among others. And they have manuscripts have been found. There's no consistent shape and size. There are different shapes, different sizes. Of course, the palm leaf manuscripts are what we have a huge number in our country. And they essentially were the first materials to be used when the manuscripts were being from the clay tablets. When we moved to the manuscriptology, or when we started making manuscripts, palm leaf was the first material that was being used because that was readily accessible. And we have found the earliest palm leaf manuscript that has been found are 6th century BCE. Again, these are on various topics, religious commentaries, manuals, multiple formations have been found. I'm just 2 weeks ago, I happened to essentially visit a very big manuscript resource center here in Gujarat, which is also the nodal zonal center called as the LD Institute of Indology. What you see are photographs that I have taken of palm leaf manuscripts, and they are measured. You can see the measuring that they have kept a scale on the sides, and each of them have to be handled very carefully. They are very long, quite long, and they are actually kept in even to protect them. They are kept in essentially wooden barks only, because they are so prone to insect attacks, being that they are actually made up of plant-based material. So this is one image. This is a close-up of one of the palm leaf manuscripts. What happens is that the writing will normally be quite over a period of time. This writing, you will not be able to read it with the naked eye. So if you want to read it, they will apply some linoleum oil to it. And this is what they had done when we were trying to, they were showing it to us. They applied the oil. Once the oil was applied, the text became quite dark for us to read. And this also acts as a preservative material because it keeps off a lot of insects. So there are multiple ways and means in which these manuscripts, these very delicate, very fragile manuscripts are handled so carefully, because even when you want to basically just lift one of them, you have to ensure so many things. So this is that. This is a from the same collection for on a copper plate. Manuscript, and you can see the precision with which the inscription has been done. It is, the lines are so clear, you find everything so neatly done. It even gives you an idea about the level of technical skills they had for actually creating these manuscripts, which is quite remarkable. This was one of those, scrolls. You kind of tie them up, and again made up of plant material. When you open it up, it looks like this. This is, of course, even now these are being made. These are not something which there is a revival. People are making these kinds of written manuscripts. This is from paper-based manuscript, but just to give you an idea, which they had shown us, is just see the line, every line, how closely the words are written, and without any mistake, without any mistake. It goes from the left to the right, because back in the days of manuscripts, you did not have page numbers, you did not have 1, 2, 3 columns. That came much later. So even the techniques of reading them were very different. And for us as librarians, even trying to describe a manuscript is essentially something which requires a separate kind of skill and standard. We have international standards for describing all of these. Sorry. Stop. 1 second. Yeah. Sure. So this is from the National Museum again, palm leaf manuscripts tied together with a string. And you can see in this manuscript, the different folios, each page is called as a folio. They're all tied with a string. There is a cover page. I mean, I'm using the cover page, although that's just for you to give a comparison. There's a cover folio, and then there's the last one. And very precision wise, the holes are done so that it passes through. This is a very thick one. As you can see on the screen, it's from 12th century, and it's made up on palm frame and palm leaf, and it is a manuscript written in Sanskrit from the Pala period. So this is just one. This is a birch bark manuscript. Okay, bark is the upper layer of the tree, and as you can see, there are some damages here. And this is Sanskrit Sharda script, and again from the National Museum of India. They have many manuscripts in their collections. This is a manuscript on paper, but there is gold which has been used. The writing is with gold, and there are many manuscripts in India. We also have that in Baroda. We have an Oriental Institute. They also have manuscripts written in gold. And the illumination, we also call them as illuminated manuscript, because there is a lot of illustration done here, and they have also used different pigments, colors. As you can see, the colors have been captured so well. So this is just to give you an idea about the different varieties of manuscripts which are there. This manuscript, of course, is from on a copper plate manuscript, and Burmese, Pali Burmese, as mentioned on the screen. And this, of course, is an interesting example, because you can see the the kind of materials which they have, there's a lot of side embossing at the back, and then the letters are in the front. So there's embossing in the back, letters in the front. That's a lot of technicality which has gone into this kind of a manuscript. I'm sure people into manuscript studies would know a lot more about it. I'm just giving a overview of the different kinds of manuscripts. This is an example of an illustrated manuscript from 6th century, Ramcharitmanas, but you can see the colors, the way they have been captured, and even till date, the colors are as bright as ever. So that is just also the preservation and conservation of manuscripts. And a lot goes into this whole area and the field of manuscriptology, which is, and these manuscripts, all these examples which you saw. So these, of course, are also one significant point was that most of these manuscripts, as they were created, there was a constant practice to create copies for them. So each copy would be done manually there would be scribes, there would be priests whose job would be just to copy and create multiple numbers of the same manuscript. And we find a lot of these same manuscript, multiple copies with certain variations. We find, of course, that copying and recopying was part of the whole work of manuscript creation. And over the years, of course, there have been different techniques which have been used to preserve these manuscripts, and the latest being the digitization, which I will be talking about later on. Now we come to, of course, where are these manuscripts? And this is where the biggest achievements that I would say that India has done is, in trying to kind of capturing the history of these and at the same time trying to make them available to it. So literature, the secondary literature that I analyzed, I was trying to find out the earliest, and some of these are, of course, examples that all of you are mostly familiar with, the earliest libraries that were there, because a lot of manuscripts were kept in these, we call them as bhandaras. So either libraries, as we also bhandaras, libraries, or in temples, as I mentioned, or they were some royal king's collections. They were personal collections, not open to the public. So the recorded history shows that the 5th century, of course, most of the libraries were monastic libraries, and others were institutional libraries. So we have examples from the account of Fashian, Takshashila, Patliputra. Of course, these were all the Buddha monastic libraries. A lot of these, some of them have been created, some of them were completely destroyed. A few of the surviving manuscripts have been found in different parts of the world. 7th century, we have an account of Yunxiang, where he has mentioned the library at Nalanda. There's so much of information now available about the library of Nalanda. During the same period, there was the Royal Library of Kashmir, there was the Gandharva library, there were many. The university libraries which were there from those times, Takshashila being one of them, of course, had a huge library, a very big collection of manuscripts which were there on so many subjects. Many of you might have studied how scholars from all over the world actually came to do their research over here. And the classification system which was used in the library, when we look at the libraries, we cite that in the library, the manuscripts were arranged according to the classification system, which was designed by Panini, the famous grammarian. Then, of course, coming to the Library of Nalanda, which is from the 5th to 12th centuries that we find. The library was called as the Dharmagyan, and there were 3 buildings as part of this whole library feature complex. There was the Ratna Sagar, there was the Ratna Dodi, and the Ratna Rajaka. And it is the documented knowledge which we have is 9 million books, and a lot of these were essentially just manuscripts, handwritten manuscripts, palm leaf manuscripts, and a lot of them were Buddhist works. And of course, it is also mentioned that this is just from one of the PhD theses that I was consulting, that somebody has looked at the ancient libraries in India, where they've said that the 9-storied building, one of the buildings which was a 9-storied building, actually looked as if it was reaching to the skies. That was how beautifully it appeared. Yeah. So, sorry. A little bit here, I just wanted to say that these 3 buildings that have got, because Library of Nalanda is one of the biggest of the libraries from that period, and the Ratna Sagar, the Ratna Dodi that we had, and the Ratna Rajaka, these 3 libraries actually, the first one, that is the Ratna Sagara, had all the manuscripts kept in them, and they were therefore also called as the jewel of, the ocean of jewels is the English literal translation for it, which it does not do justice to the actual meaning of it. And a wide range of subjects, all the manuscripts were kept in this one building. The second one, that was the Ratnodari, that actually was the second largest building in the whole complex, library complex over there. And this was meant for preservation and copying of the text, creating copies of the text. So they had, it is important to know that even they had a separate building for just creating copies and doing the preservation work for these manuscripts. And the third building that they have, basically, that is the Ratna Rajaka. That was, of course, the place where the cataloging, that is the listing of all the manuscripts, was being done. So each building had a very dedicated function in these the complex, the library complex at Nalanda, and that's quite advanced for for that time. Then we come to the next one is Vikramshila, again from 8th to 9th century. The library there, I'm focusing on the libraries which were there here. We have found some evidences of these archaeological sites which say that they had a conditioned like a cooled water structure which was going around it just to keep the manuscripts cool. That's a very interesting feature, because preservation of manuscripts do get affected by the weather, the climate, and this was something that they have found. And some of the surviving manuscripts from here have been found in Nepal and Tibet. Again, I'm just leafing through here, Udantapuri in Magad, Somapur in North Bengal. They have found evidences of libraries in all of these universities which were created at that time. The libraries had distinctively separate collections depending on when they were. Some libraries were destroyed by fire, some libraries were destroyed by invasions that took place. Like, for example, this one got destroyed by Muhammad Khalji's invasion. And a lot of these resources also, unfortunately, we lost a lot of them. One of these, of course, from this, the smaller ones are the Jagdal in North Bengal. I think it's currently now cited to be in Bangladesh present. Mithila, again, in its university, they found that there is a lot of secondary literature found about manuscripts over there. The Nyaya Shastra, it was known for the Nyaya Shastra, the Mithila, in Mithila. And there are a lot of other, the manuscripts which came out on different subjects. There are evidences that are seen in secondary literature as to what kind of resources they had, which were the manuscripts which were present in each of these universities, and who were the scholars who came out of these universities. So that, of course, is another one. Vallabhi, this one was, of course, from Gujarat, 5th to 12th century. Somewhere in the present day, Bhavnagar is where the excavation work is actually still going on. And Maitrika dynasty is what they're saying. These were the subjects, as you can see here on the screen, different subjects which were being taught here. A big, massive library, again here, filled with manuscripts and knowledge. Some of them have survived and made their way into the LD Institute of Indology that I was just telling you about, where I visited recently. So Vallabhi from Gujarat was, again, a huge collection. Along with Vallabhi, of course, around this time, there were, as I mentioned, private collections of kings. There were, we call them as imperial collections. There were some which have been documented from Kashmir, from Assam, Mysore, Malwa, Tanjore, Alwar, Bikaner, different parts of India. They have found collections which are imperial collections belonging to the royal families who were there. In Gujarat, they also found that there was a huge collection of not just Gujarat. In Gujarat, they found the Bhandaras, the Jain Bhandaras. There was a huge collection of Jain manuscripts here. And I will be showing some of those collections in my slides as we move ahead. So yes, along with the universities which were there were imperial collections, there were royal collections, there were temple collections or Bhandaras which were being then part of these manuscripts where they were all kept. Now, of course, a lot of these manuscripts, how do we go about as a researcher if I want to start kind of looking at them? And as I mentioned, that the first task was basically identifying where these manuscripts were. They were scattered all over the country. Some of them were buried under the feet and feet of maybe excavations were needed to take them out. And over the years, they have identified so many manuscripts. Some of them were in personal collections of regular people's households. Also, they have found. So what they did to counter this was the Ministry of Culture in India essentially created a very big initiative. And this is where, if you look at, this is the first screen that I've taken because I've divided this section into two parts. I will basically first be sharing those resources which are there in India, and those where our manuscripts have now moved away and they are no they are outside of India. So just to know that where they are located. So this the site that you see on the screen is the India Culture website, and they have essentially created multiple initiatives to bring to us the manuscripts, and these manuscripts, of course, as part of what the government of India was trying to create was a national virtual library. That is what they were planning to create. And as I mentioned, it is directly under the Ministry of Culture, Government of India, and the portal which has been created. This portal has been brought to us by the Indian Institute of Technology at Bombay, IIT Mumbai. They are the ones who are handling this whole thing, and what they are doing is trying to bring all this cultural material from different parts of India into one place. This is what they have done. And if you look at my second screen, this is what they've done. They have tried to capture and bring to us. There are so many things here. You have musical instruments, you have archives, museums, photo archives, audio, forts, um, buildings. There is a lot of material. And one of them, as you can see in the third column here, is manuscripts, right? But then along with manuscripts, the reason I have actually expanded this is just to let you know that there is so much of material which has been, which they are trying to collate. It is a work in progress. It's a massive task, and they are also trying to bring intangible cultural heritage items also into this common portal. So there are so many organizations working together to bring this to us. This is just a small result that I did. I just clicked, or I just entered manuscript in the search bar to show you that on this portal, on this website, we find 11,152 manuscripts. And what they do is they take you to the different places where these manuscripts are. Okay, they take you there, and we will be going to some of these places, but just to give you an idea. And this is a very small glimpse of the kind of work which has been done by the government of India. This is again from there only. I'm just showing you some. You can actually just open all of these manuscripts you can open and read them. You don't need any login ID to open these manuscripts. These are free resources. Some of them do require that you need to have a login, at least, even if you don't are required to pay money, but you need to at least have a user ID to be able to access it. And as you can see, these manuscripts are lying in different places. They are also in museum, like Allahabad Museum has 5,000 plus manuscripts over there. IGNCA has so many. Khudabakhsh Oriental Public Library. So there's a library, there is a Center for Arts, there's a museum. So manuscripts are all over. They're not in it. They're also there in the National Library of India, National Museum. So this awareness is needed that if you want to do research on manuscripts, you need to look into all these memory institutions. You have to go to memory libraries, you've got to go to museums, you've got to go to archives. And then, of course, certain times digital galleries are being created to bring these to you. So this is the National Mission for Manuscripts, one of the biggest initiatives which was done by the Government of India to essentially capture, collate, and collect information about the manuscripts all over the country. As part of that exercise, they were able to find that there were 10 million manuscripts in India. And these were located, this was a major initiative which lasted for more than 10 years. And because they wanted to collect this from all over India, they decided to create zonal headquarters. So in Gujarat, in the Western zone, we had the LD Institute of Indology, which was the zonal headquarters. They were responsible for collecting information about manuscripts, which were in every household, every small institute, every temple, every place where they could find out. They were actually collected them. The idea was to create a list so that everybody would know which are these manuscripts, which subject they are in, where are they located. At least some basic catalog should be made available. And this was the National Mission for Manuscripts, and they identified many different types of manuscripts. As you can see on the screen, these are the top 15 institutions with largest collections. The largest collections, MSS stands for manuscripts. So the Koba, that is a temple in Gandhinagar, Ahmedabad Gandhinagar, and they have almost 250,000 manuscripts. Saraswati Bhavan Library, Varanasi, they're from all over. This LD Institute Indology that I was telling you about in Ahmedabad. We have Saraswati Mahal Library, Tanjavur, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan Oriental Research Institute, Jodhpur, very large number of manuscripts. Rashtriya Sanskrit Sansthan, University of Calcutta, Vadodara Oriental Research Institute, I was just mentioning to you. Khudabakhsh Oriental, Bhandarkar Oriental, these are all institutions, and of course, I am not going into it, but the link which is there, the PDF gives you state-wise listing. Every state, what is the name of the center and where is it located. That is how the list has been created. This, what they have created here is, one second. Yeah, these are some of the most important manuscripts they have actually even oldest, most important that they found. So they also call them as treasures from the country, and some of them have been listed here. And where they are located. This is again available on the website. You just have to go through the website and you'll get a complete list of these. The name of the manuscript and where is it located. So they have identified close to 47 very, very critical, very important manuscripts, and the reasons why they have considered, they have also explained on their website. Yeah, so further, what they have done is, this is the catalog that they created. This whole exercise, 10 million manuscripts, they created a list. They call it as the Bharatiya Kriti Sampada, that is the catalog. They also digitized at least the catalog is in a digital form. That is what I'm trying to say. Not that the manuscripts have been digitized, but they're not made available online, not most of the places, but the catalog is online. So I'll just see if I can take you to this link. Do let me know if my screen sharing that I have done, you are able to see it.
Yes, Dr. Bhakti, we are able to see you.
Okay.
You have taken us to Pandulipi Patala.
Yeah, so that is the catalog that has been created, manuscript catalog, and as you can see here, it's for the physical as well as the digital manuscripts. Okay, I will just give one demonstration. I'm just going to put Ved, okay, and I will search for it. And wherever they would have, like, see, the search results would come up wherever they are. Where is it? Different kinds of Veds, all of them have come up. And the broad subject which has been done by experts, and which is the language, the script, the author, what is the name of the institute, which state is it, and you can then look at the catalog. Okay, only the catalog. You don't get to see the whole manuscript. You need to go, because of the very nature, as I said, but you at least come to know now that so and so manuscript is available in so and so place. And this effort is a very big effort which has been created. And see the material, the planned product, and what is the condition of the manuscript. It's written good over here. That kind of information is given here. So this is the basic catalog which has been created out of this whole, for these 10 million manuscripts which are there in our country. I will be coming back to my screen. Just let me know if the screen changes happened.
Yes, it's happened.
Thank you. Another thing that they have done is they've also had these guidelines. Like, if you have manuscripts lying in your house, and how should you take care of them? You don't want to give them away. Then they've just given a set of like these 19 points that what should you do to preserve, conserve those manuscripts which are in your house. They also have an initiative wherein, if you want, you can give your manuscripts to them. They will take care of the manuscript for you, or even guide you, or at least add it to their manuscript. So they have started this whole initiative wherein they are asking you, if you have manuscripts, you can even get in touch with them. That is something that they have been. So therefore, I said this initiative has not ended. There are still manuscripts lying in different parts. And the third initiative, which is part of this NMM, what they have done is, UNESCO has launched something called as a Memory of the World program. And they were trying to find out critical or very key manuscripts from different parts of the world, and they're making a list of these, and they think that these are very important to create a memory of the world for the future. And what we have is from India, the first one that was added here through the efforts of NMM was the Rigved. And this basically is actually the photograph that you're seeing is the one that has been preserved at the Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute, Pune. So this became part of the UNESCO Memory of the World. So every year, new manuscripts are being added from India to this Memory of the World. And these are significant manuscripts. And there is a reason why. So there is another one which was added. This is from the National Archives of India, called as the Gilgit manuscripts from Jammu and Kashmir. If you go to the UNESCO page, you will find a description, a brief description about what this manuscript is about, from where has it come, why do we have it. And this is the kind of certificate they give us, like, okay, from this has been added to the memory of the World Register. Every year from all over the world, people are trying to add, they send their, nominations to the UNESCO that we want so and so to be added to this list. And we have many. This is the register where I was basically put India as a filter. And you can see there are 11 results right now. Already 11 such resources have been added. This is just a list of those 11. You can see the names, and at different years they were added. The earliest one was Rig Ved. We have Shaiva manuscripts. These are Tamil manuscripts. There are medical IAS Tamil medical manuscripts which have been added. Some of them. These are just the UNESCO pages. The new ones which have in 2024, it was mentioned that they have also added Ramcharitmanas, that one is Panchtantra. They have been added to the 2024 memory of the World Committee for Asia and Pacific regional. So we also have a regional register, the South Asia or the Asia and the Pacific. And from there, some of them make it to the main list. Another one that was added currently to the World Register is the Bhagavad Gita as well as the Natya Shastra. These are 2025. As you can see, this is a news item from 22 April 2025. So this year, this is all the effort this is the Natya Shastra, the manuscript which is preserved, and efforts from different repositories all over India and with the support of NMM. They're doing it. One of the NMM, along with the NMM, we have another agency, which is the IGNCA, Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts. You will also find that there's a lot of, they have this Kala Sampada, they have a digital library they have created, calling it the Kala Sampada. And they have, again, different kinds of initiatives which are there. Multiple initiatives. I will just quickly take you through them. So they do have manuscripts, but along with that, they're looking at cultural heritage. So there's a lot of different kinds of documented knowledge in the form of, see, art and craft. There is a manuscript catalog here also. There are intangible, then there is Vedic heritage portal. There is slides, multimedia, dance performances, a lot of other things. So I have just kind of expanded here to show you all the kinds of initiatives which the IGNCA has done. They also have the National Cultural Audiovisual Archives. They have the Vedic Heritage, as I mentioned, and you will also get, this is from the Vedic Heritage link, you get full text of the whole manuscripts here also. They have in their collection, IGNCA, because they are also part of, based in Delhi, they are part of the Cultural Heritage initiatives. So what they've done is, along with the other forms of material, whatever was in their housekeeping, that is a manuscript which they've digitized those and made them full text available. You don't need anything, you don't need to log in or anything to actually be able to read the whole manuscript. Some of these manuscripts are also like downloadable, but not all. Some of them are, you can actually download them and start your research. So this is just one sample that I was showing you. Yeah, from the same IGNCA, this is the National Cultural Audiovisual Archive. So if you want to listen to an audio rendering, right, or this is the ones I just would put again Vedas here, whatever audio files they have, like this is, Vishwa Veda Sammilan, from there, all the audio recordings are also uploaded here. You can search, you can see there are 129 files that they have, audio files, which can be searched on this repository. These are all digital, these initiatives they have done. They have also started this, one second, sorry, I have some more issue, yeah. So, sorry. We have also got, yeah, sorry, there is an issue here. Let me just, yeah. Some issue. So there is a whole portal that has been created by the government of India called as the IKS portal. This animation has conked off a little bit. So the IKS portal essentially gives you every kind of, so some of this, like they will have links to the NMM website, they will have links to IGNCA website. It's like an aggregator, but still it is still a work in progress. So not everything is there. They also have put something which I found is interesting, where people are using these manuscripts and then, the work that is coming out of it, outcomes. So that is e-Gangotri, PDFs on different subjects. You can actually find them. This is the National Library of India. They have again more than 6,623 manuscripts in their collection. So these are available on the National Library of India's website. We have two different libraries. This is the physical National Library of India, which is in Calcutta. And then we have the National Digital Library of India that is hosted by the IIT. These are the manuscripts that I was telling you about. Another initiative which has been done is by the Raja Ram Mohan Roy Library Foundation. This is one of the biggest library foundations for public libraries. A lot of public libraries all over India actually have manuscripts as well as rare books. So a few years ago, as part of the Digital India program, the rare material in these public libraries, the initiative was done to digitize all of them. So, the process was long. Some of them have been able to at least keep the catalogs on now. Some of them are still in the process. So in the next couple of years, we will see a lot of this material, which is lying in these libraries all over the country. They will be available to you just with a click. This is one initiative which they did, is from the Vishwa Bharati University collection of, as you can see, 3 million multilingual pages and gramophone records, which they have digitized and made them available. Another very interesting application of these manuscripts, which I found, was the TKDL. This is called as the Traditional Knowledge Digital Library, and it's been there. It's essentially part of the CSIR. What they've done is, as you can see on the screen, that this is a database of Ayurvedic, Unani, Siddha, and Sovariga formations. So we are using our the knowledge, medicinal knowledge, which is there in our manuscripts to fight biopiracy. And the kind of work which has been done here is very fascinating. So this is the kind of information. As you can see, they will have they have 119 Ayurvedic manuscripts from where they've extracted information. And what they are doing is, with the help of this information, they are fighting the patent wars at the international level. We call it as, stopping biopiracy. Some very interesting cases which were done. There was a case where essentially there was a attempt to get a patent for neem. Now, neem is something that we have always traditionally used. So one example I'm giving, on this website, you will find many instances of how we have fought international patent wars with the help of this website. So what they did is they found out which manuscript had this already, existing usage of neem in our medicinal properties or our day-to-day life, and they fought the patent war, and that patent had to be cancelled. So there are many examples on the TKDL website where information which was extracted from these manuscripts, medicinal information, pharmacological information, and then in any of these four of these medicinal streams that we had, they have used that information to fight those battles. So this is just one interesting example of how this manuscript information that is now being made available to us as part of digitization, we are able to actually put them to good use. This is, of course, again, digital Ayurvedic manuscript database. Again, the screen is a bit small, but you can see that these are manuscripts, Ayurvedic manuscripts available. I just expanded the one which was in Sanskrit to give you an idea that how they have created this kind of listing. And this, of course, is again available under Ministry Ayush. This initiative was done.
Yeah, Dr. Bhakti, just giving you a time check. It's 7:44.
I'll have to quickly now rush through. There's too much. So this is from the Khuda Baksh Oriental Library. I will try to wind it up in another 5 minutes so I can take some questions. This is the one that I was telling you about, the Koba Tirth. This is one of the largest databases that we saw, manuscript repositories, but it is in Gandhinagar. It's a Jain temple, but with the largest manuscripts on different subjects in India that they have kept. Some of the Saraswati Bhavan Library, one very big one. Okay, Tanjore, the Mahal Library that I told you about. That's another one from there only. Rampur Raza Library with a lot of manuscripts. LD Institute of Indology, I already told you about. Tamilian Digital Library. A lot of Tamil medicinal manuscripts are here. Unfortunately, I could just barely manage to do the basic tab English but otherwise it is all in Tamil, so maybe only Tamil scholars can. But I'm hoping that with technology we'll be able to do this. This is essentially from the Bhandarkar Oriental collection in Pune. See, their collection is quite an impressive collection, which they have. It's one of the best digital interfaces for manuscripts that I have come across. The National Digital Library of India that I've told you. Okay, they also have a lot of manuscripts, which them. When I did it, I found 147 here. The National Museum also has so many. I showed you some snippets from the manuscripts that they have. Mukto Bodha is another very big digital library, which has got a lot of manuscripts freely available online. Most of these sites that I'm showing you are free access. They don't require any login. This is from the Punjab Digital Library. It is one of the earliest digital library initiatives that was done. This is from Baroda. That is the Maharaja Sayajirao University. We have Oriental Library. This is the list of their manuscripts. Asian Asiatic Society of Mumbai, Samhita, another South Asian manuscript histories and textual archive. I'm just leafing through. There are many, many places, and I will just come through quickly even tell you that outside of India, we have a lot of, there are more than 60,000 manuscripts which are outside of India, out of which 30,000 are in Britain itself as part of what they have taken from here. So, sorry. This is called as, they had a program called as Endangered Archives Program. So as part of that, they have a lot of our manuscripts over there. They are available free. The University of Oxford has many, many manuscripts from India. It's part of their Bodleian library, and they are also helping us. The Koba library essentially took help from them to digitize their material. The Cambridge Digital Library has many, many manuscripts over there. What I'm trying to basically show through these examples is that manuscripts which were taken out of the country at different periods of time. In the National Library of France, we have more than 5,000 manuscripts are here. Oh, sorry, 3,000 manuscripts. Yeah, out of which 2/3 are in Sanskrit and 1/3 in Indo-Aryan or Dravidian languages. National Library of Berlin, they have 10,000 manuscripts from South Asia, out of which they have a lot in Sanskrit and Prakrit, 2,000 manuscripts in the Kashmiri Sharda script. This is just one. Leiden in this. There is a Pandit project. Again, they have, as part of the project, they've been trying to collect manuscripts which are all over the world. Indian manuscripts which are in different parts of the world. They are trying to aggregate and bring them. These are some from the US, where Harvard has a whole Sanskrit program, so they have many. On the Internet Archive, actually, you do come across many, many manuscripts. So many smaller manuscript repositories have put up their collections on the Internet Archive. Okay, so this is the Chunilal Gandhi Vidya Bhavan. They have a lot of manuscripts here. The Dharma Trust JK, they also have lots of manuscripts here. The Sanskrit library, this is based in the US, but a lot of full texts, all of them are available here on their websites, again free. The Library of Congress, which is the National Library of US, also has many, many manuscripts over there as part of their South Asian manuscript collections. What I have done is I have just created a small tips that when you have to find these manuscripts, we always say that try to first go to the NMM website, because they will give you a great idea about manuscripts which are in India. You should not restrict your searching to just the manuscript centers. You need to go to museums also, and both of these, whether they are in India or outside of India, because a lot of our manuscripts and other materials have been taken out of the country. There have been attempts to bring some of them back. Recently, I came to know that from the Wellcome Trust in UK, they have committed to sending some of our manuscripts back here. There are talks going on. You should look at catalogs and hand list. A hand list is a special kind of a catalog only prepared for manuscripts, which is like a book. It is sold in the market. You will find hand lists which are sold on Amazon and everywhere. And these hand lists will essentially give you the title. It will give you a small description of what the manuscript is about, where is it located, what is its number, and some basic details. So these hand lists are typically sold, or they may also be made freely available by the institutions which are housing these manuscripts. So you will find that the hand lists and catalogs are available for manuscripts which are available for different languages and for different types of material. For example, you will find palm leaf manuscripts. There is a whole catalog of it. There may be a catalog which will cover the whole of palm leaf collections all over the world or any one specific, maybe just India. There are some research guides. I'll just give you one idea. In the Western countries, the libraries essentially prepare these kinds of guides. And if you want to do research in, let's say, manuscriptology or manuscripts, and that too from India, they have, this is for India. They have created something like this. So if you want to look at manuscripts, they will say, go to these places. And they will give you links and one line about it. So there, even the National Mission for Manuscript is there. There will be many other such, links which will be given here. So we call them as guides. These are called as you can see the screen, my screen, these are called as guides. Every university over there creates these guides. Okay, so I have essentially just put a small list here that these are some guides which have been prepared by these universities which have got Indian manuscript as part of their Sanskrit departments or as part of their curriculum. And these are just some tips that I thought I would share with you if you want to search for these manuscripts. And with this, I will end my presentation on the that's what I tried to capture, was telling you different types of information sources for IKS. I have focused on manuscripts, but I began with overview that there are clay tablets, there are temple inscriptions, there are different materials which are available in different locations. And of course, because geographically, it is not possible for us to go and access them. The digitization of most of this content has made it possible for us to basically be sitting in one place and still researching this collection. At the same time, when you are digitizing any collection, when you are using digitized collections, one has to always remember that digitized content is very easy to manipulate also. So you have to be very careful about where you are taking this material from. There may be a lot of commercial websites which will tell you that we have so and so manuscripts, which may not be accurate. So always go to the most authentic sources to do this. And with that, I will conclude my session for today and be ready to take any questions from you. Thank you so much for patiently listening to me.
Ma'am, that was wonderful. I'm Sharada from Tirupati.
Oh, thank you.
That was an amazing session. But what I thought of was, if there is so much of knowledge available right now, after all the plunders that have happened in India, if those plunders and raids had not happened, how much more of knowledge we would have had, isn't it?
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. And number two, it pained me once again to see all our manuscripts in different universities abroad. And why should it be there? I just wonder, why should it not be given back to us?
Correct.
We should claim, and we know the imperial and colonial mindset. They would not easily part with our wealth. Okay, they will not easily part with our wealth. Ma'am, but I would like to know, I had raised a question also. Are these resources free access for anybody globally?
So,
for example, the Bodleian Library, then the Cambridge Library, the Oxford, and all that. The resources and links you've mentioned?
Yeah. A lot of them are freely available because they have digitized the content. So you can essentially access these online. Some of them only will give you physical access. They will not. They will just give you the catalog, but you have to visit them to actually be able to study these manuscripts. So that comes to the first point that you had made, that we need to actually have these attempts, and NMM is making an attempt and other organizations are making an attempt to get these back. Right, but it's not going to be an easy process. It's going to be a long process, definitely, to get them back. But a lot of these manuscripts, like for example, the ones which I showed in France, Germany, they are available online. Some of them, may require that you write to them, and then they will give you access to the e-link for their content. Okay. So there might be one step, to get access to them.
Yeah.
Correct. I do have some experience of going through the process in the Library of Congress, US, during my own PhD work to get digital access to material, archival material that I needed for my PhD work. And it's quite a process, but of course they have preserved it well. And I was finally So something that I was studying about India, Pakistan, unable to find either in India or Pakistan, I found in the US, which is very hilarious.
Yeah, see, that is something which we should commend also about them.
Correct,
Although
absolutely.
they have plundered, they have preserved.
Preserved. True.
We ourselves have lost many, apart from plundering.
That's true.
I don't think we have even cared for our knowledge, under
No,
the
because
influence of...
you're very right. As part of my current research, we visited many such places here in Gujarat also. And I was sad to see trust libraries, trust repositories, and the manuscripts are in such a bad shape, but they're not ready to let go of them. We tell them that we are, please, give them to us. Let's work on them to preserve them. But it takes time to convince them, that,
Correct.
this needs to be at least safeguarded and preserved so that our own researchers can actually study them.
Our
But yeah,
university also has some manuscripts in our library.
Oh.
There is one Oriental researcher library in our ancient Indian history and culture department. They also have some manuscripts, but I
Yes.
don't know what it is. Some Telugu manuscripts they have. I
Okay.
don't know much about it, but they do have it. That's what.
Yeah, there are Oriental institutions all over India, and
India.
all of them have a very good collection. The one that I gave was just one example from here in Baroda, but then there are Oriental institutions all over India, and a lot of their manuscripts have been catalogued by NMM. They may be lying in over there, but the list is there at least at the central level. So that's also important. And the digitized copies are there with all of them. So
Another
that is-
thing I like this, your name, Bhakti. Wow, first time I came across somebody with a name, Bhakti. What a beautiful name.
Thank you so
Lovely,
much.
Thank you.
ma'am.
Thank you so much, Sharda ma'am, for joining. And we are eagerly
Oh, no.
looking forward to your lecture as well.
Oh,
on
no,
the
no, that will be
बिल्कुल
on
बहुत
Bhakti.
बहुत सुंदर जानकारी दी है आपने मैम,
Lovely.
निश्चित तौर पे।
Thank you so much. Thank you so
क्या
much.
मैम कहीं हम लोग कोशिश करते रहते हैं कि वापस से ये मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट लाई जाए भारत में, कोई ऐसी कोशिश जारी है क्या?
हाँ, अभी ही जैसे मैंने अभी पता लगाया था कि जैसे न्यूज आइटम था, यूके में एक वेलकम ट्रस्ट है जहाँ पे हमारी काफी मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स पड़ी हुई है, तो वहां पे ही एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन था, इंडिया का ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो यूके में बेस्ड है, दे वर फाइटिंग, उन्होंने उनके साथ की है शुरुआत कि हमारी मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स वापस कीजिए। तो वो पार्शियल अग्रीमेंट हुआ था, तो वो उन्होंने वहां न्यूज आइटम में डाला था कि देयर आर अटेम्प्ट्स, तो कोशिशें तो की जा रही है। इट्स नॉट जस्ट मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट, हमारे काफी जो दूसरे ऑब्जेक्ट्स भी है, कल्चरल ऑब्जेक्ट्स भी तो है, दे आर ऑल पार्ट ऑफ आवर हेरिटेज जो बाहर गए हैं। और कई बार मुझे काफी दुख होता है, जब मैं लाइब्रेरी ऑफ कांग्रेस में गई थी और मैंने वहां पे जब उनका इंडिया कलेक्शन देखा, तब उन्होंने ऑनलाइन कुछ नहीं किया था, ये कुछ साल पहले की बात है, और मैंने बोला था उनको कि ये हमारा ही कलेक्शन है और अगर मुझे यूज करना है तो मैं, हमारे से कितने लोग वहां जाके एक्सेस कर सकते हैं, वी शुड बी एबल टू एक्सेस।
राइट
So it's a battle which all of us have to fight together actually.
That's true.
बिल्कुल
That's very true. Yes, Bhakti, there is one question from Sujata ji. Sujata ji, I hope you are still with us. She's asking about any project opportunities, if there are in these areas. I think she may be interested in working in this area.
Actually, I have come across that a lot of these manuscript repositories and centers which are outside, okay, I'm not talking about India, because in India we have, of course, projects which are being given by IKS.org. Well, they have listed the projects that they have actually granted, but then I also found that Library of Congress and all these places, if you want to refer to their collections, उधर का 3 months, 4 months, 6 months का funded projects होते हैं इनके। And आपको एक मतलब, you have to make a case that which part of their collection you want to go and research, then they will give you funding to go there. And I mean, of course, currently the timings are a little bit with the current regime, I'm not able to ascertain, but otherwise there were all these Bodleian hai ya ye University of Oxford hai, in sabke wahan they have libraries have got this funding to basically give the scholars to come and study their resources. So इस तरह के project fundings are obviously there. You can actually explore them. But ये इनकी library के website पे ही मिलेगा आपको. There is no aggregated, कोई एक जगह नहीं है जहाँ पे आपको सारे projects के बारे में पता चलेगा. So some of these which I explained to you, you have to go to their website and subscribe to their newsletter ताकि कुछ भी नया हो तो पता चले.
पता चला. Correct, absolutely. Yeah, and I think a good way to begin with here is just go to the IKS division's website,
Yeah.
because they are granting Sujata ji a lot of projects, internships. They're also commissioning books on IKS in multiple languages. And of course, if anybody is interested in applying for grants, the Indic Academy, they also fund projects. Some of our professors from our university got these projects. और कई universities में ऐसा भी होता है कि आपको थोड़ा seed grant money मिलता है. You get ₹1,00,000 to do a project for 1 year. उसमें भी आप IKS को लेकर काम कर सकते हैं. But of course, we do have a separate list of resources to share for all of this. But yeah, nowadays I think there is no dearth of opportunities if you want to do IKS research, and if you do try, there are funds available. The Indian Institute of Advanced Studies in Shimla,
Yeah,
they are
Shimla
also doing, they are also doing a lot of IKS work, and sometimes you can apply for a long-term fellowship also. And I think that we should also apply for these mainstream fellowships like Fulbright and Commonwealth and go there and do IKS related work. वो भी हमें करना चाहिए. So of course, there are many opportunities. There is a compliment for you, Dr. Bhakti, from Geetashri Mukherjee. She's saying that you are indeed a living library. So much to learn from you. And I'd already shared in the beginning of the session that Dr. Bhakti is indeed an erudite scholar, and her session proves it very, very well.
I am so thankful that you had to actually patiently listen through all of my. I had to rush through some of them. I mean, because of the time, I knew it when I was adding. It was so difficult. There are so many more sites which could not be added. Obviously, it was just a sampler that there is no dearth of resources. It's basically the willingness to study these, research them in depth. And as Nidhi mentioned, yes. I looked at the titles which the IAS recently gave, the funding which was given all topics. So that means they are right now IKS research definitely projects are being solicited, and we should all apply and get more of them. I agree with you there.
Yes,
and I hope some of these resources can help you in at least writing your proposals.
Great. I'm sure it was a very fascinating session for all of us here. Excellent compilation of all the resources on one platform. Very, very helpful. I have taken, I've copy pasted the links of some resources, and I will pass it on to the participants in the group. But I think it was an eye-opening session, right from understanding about how knowledge was documented and expressed in those days. And you took us on this fascinating journey in history, from palm leaf manuscripts, rock inscriptions, cave paintings, and so much more. And now, of course, we are talking about the digitization of these manuscripts. And in our own university, we have the Oriental Institute, closer home, Ahmedabad, we have LD Indology Institute. So I am sure कि आप लोग जहाँ पे हैं वहाँ भी ऐसे लाइब्रेरीज और इंस्टीट्यूट्स होंगे. सो सबसे पहले आप जहाँ पे हैं वहाँ पे ये सब एक्सप्लोर कर सकते हैं. And of course, exploring your own university library also makes a lot of sense. So once again, thank you, Dr. Bhakti. And I'm now pleased to invite Professor Manju Rani Madam, Professor of Economics, Shahid Mangal Pandey Government Girls PG College, to deliver the formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Nidhi, for inviting me. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Lata Kumar. लता मैम, आपका बहुत आभार. आपके मन में बहुत दिन से था, इस बारे में हमारी करीब 3 महीने पहले बात हुई थी. और लता मैडम इस तरह का कोई सेमिनार या कोई ऑनलाइन सीरीज कराना चाहती थी. तो आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई कि आप अपने उद्देश्य में सफल हुई और ये एक आयोजन आप करा पाई. उसके बाद सर्वप्रथम मैं आज की वक्ता मैम भक्ति मैम का आभार व्यक्त करती हूँ कि आज का जो उनका उद्बोधन था वो सचमुच जितने भी रिसर्च स्टूडेंट्स हैं, चाहे वो इकोनॉमिक्स से जुड़े हुए हैं, IKS के स्टूडेंट्स हैं, या हिस्ट्री से रिलेटेड हैं, संस्कृत के हैं, सभी के लिए बहुत ही इंफॉर्मेटिव आपका लेक्चर रहा। आपने अभी तक जितने भी व्याख्यान हुए हैं उन सभी व्याख्यान में सभी प्रतिभागियों की द्वारा सोर्सेस के बारे में जानकारी चाह रहे थे कि हम IKS के बारे में कहाँ से, ऐसे कौन से रिसोर्सेस हैं जहाँ से हम जानकारी प्राप्त कर सकते हैं। तो मुझे लगता है कि आज का जो आपका उद्बोधन है वो निश्चित रूप से उन सभी के लिए बहुत ही हेल्पफुल है, क्योंकि हम जब भी कहीं जाते हैं, म्यूजियम्स में घूमने के लिए गए, दिल्ली में गए, या इलाहाबाद का आपने बताया इलाहाबाद यूनिवर्सिटी, या मथुरा में भी मैं बहुत पहले गई थी तो वहाँ पर भी म्यूजियम है, तो हम लोग जाते थे तो हमें केवल वहाँ पर देख लेते थे। लेकिन अभी आपके आज के व्याख्यान के बाद ये खुद मेरे लिए भी बहुत ज़्यादा हेल्पफुल रहा कि अब मैं डिजिटली भी हम इन सब चीज़ों के बारे में जानकारी कर सकते हैं। तो निश्चित रूप से आपका व्याख्यान आज का बहुत ही लाभकारी है सभी के लिए, जो आपने सेकेंडरी सोर्सेज बताएं और मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट के इतने सारे टाइप्स बताएं, इंडिया के अंदर और इंडिया के बाहर भी इतने सारे सोर्सेज आपने बताए, तो मैं आपका हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करती हूँ कि और पुनः आपसे किसी प्लेटफॉर्म पर मिलेंगे, ऐसी मैं आशा करती हूँ कि दोबारा से अगर हमें आवश्यकता होगी कि हम कहीं पर अपने स्टूडेंट्स के लिए, अभी क्योंकि हमारे महाविद्यालय के स्टूडेंट्स ज़्यादा इस प्रोग्राम में जुड़े हुए नहीं हैं, तो मैं लता मैडम से रिक्वेस्ट करती हूँ कि हम पुनः इस तरह का कोई आयोजन करें जिसमें हमारे महाविद्यालय के स्टूडेंट्स भी आपके उससे लाभ प्राप्त कर सकें। थैंक यू सो
बिल्कुल
मच।
मैम।
ओके,
थैंक यू